Hi guys, Matthew from writersblockbrewing.com, and I'm at Miner's Alley, a restaurant and brew house in Oroville, California. I have an interview with the co-owner and brewer, Steve Vandervort. Let's go and meet him. Hi Steve, thanks for having us at Miner's Alley today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you. Steve, tell us a little bit about Miner's Alley.
Well, Miner's Alley was built in this historical building. The building has been here since 1880. It's in the historical district of downtown Oroville. We chose the building for its ambiance. So we started last year in March. We acquired the building, and we had to do a lot of structural changes to the building. We also had a dirt basement that we wanted to utilize, and we have cold storage down there now for our kegs of beer. It's real nice to be able to take an old building and do things for it. It's good karma to get back into the bones and help the building out. We've got a good start. We opened our doors. We've got some excellent people working for us, some talented people in the kitchen doing Americana food with a twist, and then brewing our own beer, as well as showcasing some local craft breweries. We do have our first beer on tap is a wheat citrus beer, and it's been very well received, and it actually outsells any other beer that we have 2 times over. So it's been nice that our first beer has been very successful, and we'll keep that beer. It's just a nice drinkable beer. Come summertime, I'm sure we won't be able to keep up with the demand for that, especially with our system, which we'll have a look at later on. But it's a nice start. We have probably 5 target beers that we're working on, so we feel like we've hit our first target.
Thank you, Steve, for sharing that. Very interesting about the historic building and the brews that you have in the pipeline and the success of your wheat citrus beer already. Steve, can you tell us how you got your start in brewing? We know now that you have this brew house and restaurant, that your first beer is well received, but how did you get started? Take us back.
I can't remember exactly the date or the time or anything like that, just that there was a transition from, having a cold domestic beer to having a cold beer from some brewery I never heard about before. My interest in brewing didn't come about till really just before we started this project. So I'm not a 20-year brewing guy out of the home that decided to take a hobby and do something with that hobby. Definitely had an interest in brewing, but not a background in brewing. I don't have any great big elaborate stories on how the whole thing happened. It was one of those things where you just decide to do something and you go for it. It's better that we're into it now and learning it as we go, because it'll stay exciting for us for the next 5, 10, 15 years versus already doing it for 20 years and then just deciding, you know what, it's all I know how to do, so I'm going to try to make some money at it. And are you burned out by that? You burn out. You burn out on anything. I don't care how in love you say you are with it. You need to be pretty creative at inventing ways to stay in love with that. We are into it fresh and new now, rather than to have all the experience. Although there are times when I'm dumping beer because it doesn't taste good, that I sure would love to have more experience.
Wow, Steve, thank you for sharing that with us. Very inspirational, especially for beginning home brewers. Now, Steve, do you mind if we see the system which you're brewing on now?
Oh, not at all. Let's head in the back.
So, guys, we're in the back of Miner's Alley now. Steve, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about how you brew or what kind of equipment you have?
This is the back of the house. Used to be a bar until we built a bar out front. This will eventually be our fermenter room when we build our larger system. We started off with just a nano system. We bought from some good folks up in Washington, Minnis Brewing Company out of Washington. This was their startup system. It's been a good way for me to start into brewing is to have a system that is simple, even though it is very much like how a larger system is going to operate. Our brewing system is right here behind me. It's some Blickman kettles, not too exciting or different. It's got a little bit of a brain, so we're able to pump from one pot to the next. We triple batch on it in a day, and we can get a barrel and a half out of the system. We're very much looking forward to a larger system. But this is our system. Behind me is the grains. That's just where we store our raw materials, and we're still doing a lot of R&D. Just did an oatmeal pale ale that was delicious out of the fermenter, inspired by Fort George Brewery. I'll give them credit for that. And then we have a few rolling stations. We have our CO2 station in our grain grinding station, and it's all very kind of startup. We only have 3 fermenters right now that we're using. People like to drink your beer when they come into your place, and so that's been the challenge, is keeping our beer on tap. We're excited about where we're at, though. And we have a lot of great plans for expansion, create some really nice atmosphere in downtown Oroville.
Well, Steve, thank you for sharing your history, the future of Miners Alley Brewing. It's been a very big pleasure to spend some time with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good to have you.